It's Yolanda at Dryer Buzz. And of course, this is the Dryer Buzz Book Club Thursday edition, only because I'm trying out a couple other platforms. Want to move around a bit because I want to talk a little bit about some national titles. I'll give you guys a few minutes to come in. Let me know that you do, or if you do, have sight and sound. Give me just a second to check some things here. We'll wait a few minutes and see that we do get connected. All right, looks like we are getting started there. Hey, Ahmed, how are you? Ahmed, how are you? Ozturk, how are you? Hello, Strong Branding, how are you? It's been a minute since I've been on Periscope. Well, actually, it depends. It depends. There's some content I do on here, and some I don't. And I've been trying to bring This Ain't That Book Club. The books that you're looking at on the screen is some things that we picked up during the week. We made a visit to a new bookstore after the movie Black Panther. I keep wanting to say Black Planet, and everybody's been asking about like the taste of Wakanda, vegan, Afro-vegan. I'm African American, so definitely something with a little bit more flair to it. Farm fresh African, Caribbean, and Southern flavors. This one has been out for a while, and I've seen it, on Instagrams, and it's usually one of the first that people recommend when people want to try vegan. And most of the in my conversations about going vegan, it's basically people just trying to eat farm fresh, get reacquainted with vegetables, dialing back processed foods, not necessarily going full on vegan, but just wanting to up the level of vegetables, bring home some of that or some of that restaurant flavor into the kitchen. And now I have been doing on Facebook, I've been doing live video. Reason I do it on Facebook is because we're able to bring somebody into the broadcast. And so I have been on Tuesdays doing a broadcast with Jason Hodge, who you guys have seen on Periscope. I know some of my followers will be familiar with him. Bryant Terry, I think he has now maybe 3, 4, or even 5 different books out there. I like this as a cookbook because, of course, like I love the binding of it. Because one thing about, this is a really nice edition. But with the cookbook, you need it to open kind of flat and so forth, and be able to go through it. One thing that people are doing is, I don't know, it's like, how do you use it in the kitchen? I usually will kind of just take a little screenshot so that I don't have the book in the way when I'm doing the cooking. But I definitely want to explore some of these meals, like certainly, the chocolate cake. When you think about the vegan, a lot of people are trying to switch up to like some of the soy, cashew milk, getting away from non-dairy creamers. And of course, what we're learning is that with the health conditions and crises that we're in now, most of those crises came from our diet. Everybody's watching all of the documentaries, and people are becoming just terrified, not knowing what to eat, when to eat. And then you just kind of feel hopeless because, you got to shop based on what's available in your community and by your budget. I have found in my neighborhood, we don't have a, what's the one that Amazon just bought? I keep forgetting it every time, but I do have a local store that I could get some farm fresh items or at a very reasonable price. I usually go in there with like a $20 budget, and I'll get a lot of vegetables and so forth, and just trying to explore those. I've been making a lot of vegetable casseroles. You guys, if you watch me or if you follow me on Twitter, or my YouTube channel, I have, in fact, today I had a very hearty cream of celery soup that I prepared the other day. Very hearty cream of celery soup with herb roasted potatoes, I've also learned to make my soups from scratch. Just really perfecting the roux, using the creams, the white sauce. I'm so in love with white sauce. I'm so in love with tomato sauce, which I've also learned through Jason Hodge on here on Periscope. He's done some things on Periscope. But then I want to, explore other vegetables, because, how much kale can you eat? How much kale, how much broccoli, how much spinach. There's so many other varieties out there, and I just don't feel like I am touching the surface. Like, as a matter of fact, I have some fresh corn in there, like right now, that I need to eat. And I also wanted to explore like different broths. I've also on the average family, especially the average busy parent, we've got the jar sauce, we've got the canned goods, the freezer is full of foods. Well, I wanted to dial back the processed foods. I wanted to dial back those foods that I normally would have in the freezer. Because, you get tired of having to come home and thaw it out and then cook it. I wanted to cook a little fresh. And I don't necessarily want to have to order, like the box meals and, those kind of things. I want to be able to support my neighborhood. I like the idea of the convenience of the box meals, but, just not knowing where that's coming from, I really want to support my community. And so I go to this vegetable stand, which actually they've expanded to a full-on local farm fresh grocer. They've got a cafe now, and they're getting ready to expand again with a candy store and so forth. But I got the cookbook, of course, because after the movie, see, my soup was just as hearty as that one right there. But I got the cookbook because, like I said, I wanted to just kind of learn a little bit more, do a little bit more research, try a couple of other vegetables. Because you know how when you go to the store, like I bought some fresh peanuts. I bought peanuts in 2 varieties, but I want to start getting the cashews. So this is soups and stews. And look at the nuts, because if we were to bring in more nuts, wheats, grains, and I know some people can't have the wheats because of the gluten and so forth, but just some hardiness. I wanna do more with some hardiness. Like, instead of buying just your average loaf of bread, I started getting the fresh breads. My favorite right now is the Italian 5-grain, which you can get at your local grocery store in the baker aisle. Definitely, I've got some okra in there now that I need to do something with. But I love these recipes, and I love the layout of this book. So I got it. I was at a conference actually last weekend. I was at a conference, and I love when there is a book vendor at the conference. And so they were actually local, so I actually went and visited their bookstore. Now, here's a couple of books that I picked up at the discount store. Actually, 1, 2, and 3. These 3 here in the middle. I went to Ollie's. Ollie's is your average, what kind of store is Ollie's? Bargain store, where they have all the different buyouts, right? They hate 2 Smirks. They have like all the different buyouts. So the books you see this book right here was $16.99, but of course for the buyout it was $3.99. This little book right here, which again is going to help me in the kitchen, is sauces, preserves, liqueurs. I love it because they actually had like a variety of 4 or 5 of these. So I'm sorry, y'all. I love cookbooks that have pictures, because you really need to see what the outcome. Like, I have an eggplant in my fridge right now, and don't you love when you look at a recipe and you actually have the items, and that lets you know that that lets me know that I'm meeting my goal. Like, when I look at this recipe and I see, that it called for the eggplant, the white wine vinegar, the garlic. In fact, I'm about to roast some garlic, because I think I saw in this book or in another book about eating roasted garlic. I think I watched a Facebook video over and over and over. Extra virgin olive oil, basil, oregano, salt. And to look at a recipe, if you're trying to explore new cooking ideas, and you look at a recipe and you realize, whoa, I now have that kind of stocked kitchen that I could then jar some eggplant and then serve it on baguette like that. And you know that's going to be good because you boil it, bring it to a boil in white wine vinegar, put it in the jar with the basil and the garlic slices, and then just take it out when you want something to munch on. Hey, glam artist, you take it out and you're just going to serve it on a baguette like that. Or, say for instance, onions. Like, I'm an onion lover and I love pearl onions. I got to look for those the next time I go to the store. That one is your anchovies, and then they have all these little mustards and like learning to use shallots. I'm cooking a little bit more with the shallots, garlics, and things like that. I have so much garlic in this house right now. It's insane. But to be able to take a small basket of cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, put it in a pan with a little olive oil or butter, olive oil, some garlic, onions, the dishes that I prepared. You can check my Instagram, same name as my Periscope, and see how I began to get back in the kitchen and explore. This one right here, I opened it up. One of the things I do when I'm exploring the books in the bookstore, and I do that live for those of you who want to follow, and I'm still trying to get it back over here on Periscope. Like I said, started out doing it on Facebook. The engagement just sucks you in, right? This was another one that was discounted. This one's like $2.99. The definitive for a new definitive resource for a new generation of freelancers. I think everybody should run out and get this because there is some level of freelance going on probably in your life and mine as we are looking at the change of work, the redesign of work. Learn how to land the best jobs, build your brand, be your own boss. What does that even mean? What does that look like? More and more companies, the Fortune 500 companies, how you used to ride through a downtown area and all the buildings would have a Fortune 500 company name on the building, right? Now you look at some of these buildings, you're like, what kind of company is that? What company is that? And they have surpassed the numbers that Fortune 500 companies used to make. They've surpassed those numbers. In fact, some of the numbers that these companies now are bringing in at a freelance level, everybody that works for them is freelancing or contracting. Now, I've worked contract for most of my life, but this freelancing, today's freelancing, is even a little bit different from that. At least with the contract, you had somebody managing the financial side of the work that you do. But now, today, it's like you got to be your own accountant or hire somebody. You got to handle your own taxes. You got to pay for your own benefits. That looks a whole lot different than way contracting. Remember, we used to work temporary or contracting and so forth. So, but I like the way this was broken up as far as reading. So I'm going to curl up on the couch with this in just a moment because, one, as a blogger, I blog about this new freelance economy, gig economy as they call it, or convenience economy. There's a couple of things that's going on as far as our ecosystems are changing. If you notice, they have three of them here. Either your job is changing or what your job looks like is changed. And we hadn't seen a real change in work and what work looks like since the Clintons were in office, right? That's when, when people who had their jobs for 20, 30 years, they were all let go and hired back as contractors, no more benefits, no more pensions, no more, working somewhere forever where you can still work there, but you won't be leaving with much, right? So now here again, in this era, we're starting to see work look differently. Everybody's got some kind of freelance going on, side hustle, if you will, or gig, and so forth. But there are those who still have jobs, but then it's almost like in order to have a job now, you've got to have so much debt. There's so much debt now that goes with having jobs. So, and then also it says build your brand. It's like you already know. everybody is a brand today. Everybody is a brand, from a toddler to a teenager to an adult. Even our senior citizens are getting in on this of being a brand. Hey, Deb, the travel hacker. I mean, everybody is a brand. And then the other side of that is be your own boss, because as we go into this new design of freelancing and outsourcing, a lot of times you might just be the catalyst for this change, which means you might be your boss and could absolutely be somebody else's boss. It just depends on how much responsibility you want to take on for yourself. I'm outside on, who is that? So it just depends on what you want to take on, right? So next, of course, I picked up this one. Give me just a second there. I picked up this one because this particular one is accompaniment to the movie Birth of a Nation. We just had award season, so that was pretty hot. So I like that we had the award season. This movie didn't do very much on the award circuit, if you will, but I wanted to get it because it was an accompaniment to the movie, and I have a collection of books that go along with movies and so forth. So I wanted to have that, and it was at a discount as well. So, and it talks about, and if you didn't know, DVDs, people purchasing DVDs are really big, still big today. And most people end up with DVDs and these books that go along with the movies because they are interested in filmmaking, because they like reading about the experience of making the movie, where the movie was made. They are, is that LaShasha? I hope I said that right. Because they like, reading, getting into the mind of the director and how the film was made and so forth. And then, of course, This Ain't That Book Club, we live stream really on Wednesdays. I actually go into the bookstores. We explore the books on the shelf. So since I purchased these three through going to the store this week, when I did the book club, I actually just pulled a book from my daughter's shelf, and she had just finished reading Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and so I did a little bit of a read on that. And so normally we have one book and one book only, but as you can see, conference season has already started, book vendors are already out there, and I have fully bitten by the book bug. So naturally, I wanted to create some book buzz, and those are our selections so far. I keep in my workstation, I keep a basket at my workstation, and I keep stacks of books pretty much all around. I've taken the books down off the bookshelves because I feel like once I would put my books on the bookshelves, I start getting into that hoarding mentality. Once it's on the shelf, I would no longer take it down. So what I've done is on my coffee table, on my end table, on my bed, on my kitchen counter, and different other places, I have just very little small stacks of books. So then when I see that, I just reach over and I just grab one and I read it a little bit. I prefer books. I prefer memoirs, how-tos, recipe books, more so than your basic, your novels, because I don't have time to read anything from cover to cover. I like a book that I can pick it up here and there, read a couple chapters, get something out of it, feed my spirit, feed my dream, and then just kind of keep it moving and come back to it. So that's what I love about the books and so forth. And then, of course, I'm an author myself. I went from blogging to being an author by publishing some of my blog pieces in a book called 27 Answers to Create Buzz, because that's what I do. I do consulting. I help people use social media for business. In fact, I had a couple calls today. I got a couple other things that I've got in the works and so forth. But that's exactly what I do. And so last April, we're coming up on a year of for the book club, but last April, it was going to be a really nice summer. Spring came early, and we decided that we would explore. I had time to go into the bookstore. And there were some great selections that came out on the memoir side. Seems like last year was the year of the memoir. Everybody was telling their story, and then not just senior citizens or people who had lived long lives. Young people. Hell, a lot of the actors and celebrities. Everybody came out with a memoir of where they were in their life last year. Kevin Hart. Taraji, oh my God, there were so many. My Tai, who was the ex-wife of Prince. Her book was a beautiful book on Prince. She was very protective of his story, but still gave us such a wonderful glimpse into her life and time with him, as well as he understanding who he was and who he was to us. So really enjoyed that one. Several others. Trevor Noah was my absolute favorite of last year. I think of all the ones, remember I said this ain't that book club, we don't read the book from cover to cover. I think his was probably one that I read the most of, and I probably read chapters over and over because they were hilariously funny. But I love the fact that he was helping us to really understand what it meant to be born a crime, born in apartheid, and so forth. Let me see here. I just got a notification about Will Smith and his YouTube channel. So all of that is why we do the book club. So look for us on Wednesdays. I will try and do Periscope as well as with the other platforms. And you'll see how we select the book. Like I said, because we had a number of events this week, getting back out there for our spring blog. And it was spring for a minute. It seems like it's back winter time. Some of you are getting snow. We are under 40 degrees here in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta. And I really thought it was going to be a nice day out. I'm looking, it was gorgeous out. But when you step out there, there's a chill in the air. So if you want to cook along with me on Tuesdays, I will take some of these recipes and explore them in the kitchen. We go shopping, we come back, and we prepare something. I'm also I blog about the gig economy, so that's why I want to read this one so that I can fully understand and know some of the changes that are going on. And I want to read this one because this talks about freelancer, so I want to see if they predicted some of the things in the places that we are now. And then, of course, Think and Grow Rich. That's been a staple for any entrepreneur for the past 50 years, and not even an entrepreneur. I mean, that's basically a book for those trying to close the wealth gap as far as they're concerned. But, definitely entrepreneurs are reading it. I mean, they get an understanding of it. And then, of course, adding Birth of a Nation to my collection of books about movies. And I think that's going to do it for me. Swipe to my profile. You can see other content if you catch this. Maybe a friend shared it on on their timeline and so forth. Swipe to my profile and you'll see more of the content that we provide. And you can definitely check us out over on YouTube as well as Facebook or anywhere on your favorite platform. Have a great day, guys. And remember, this ain't that book club.